points.
Okay, welcome to Namibia.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to meet you again here and at your home.
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure. We talk so much about it in England and in London, so now being here, it's a great opportunity.
Okay.
През пролета ми се обади стар познат и приятел от Лондон, Алхас Хаметов. Той ме попита дали мога да го придружа по време на едно интересно сафари в областта Каприви и аз запазих този период в свой календар. И така, на 25 септември 2018 година, аз и Алхас се срещнахме във Франкфурт и полетяхме заедно за Виндхук. На следващия ден на летището ни чакаше самият собственик на компанията, знаменитият професионален ловец и туроператор Робин Харт. Те се познаваха от Лондон с Алхас и се зарадваха на поредната си среща, вече на намибийска почва. Робин Харт е роден в Кения и целият му живот е преминал в Африка. Семейството му се е преселило после в Южноафриканската република, а сега съдбата го отвела до Намибия. Той има прекрасна ферма на около 2 часа път на юг от столицата, а също така държи няколко концесии в областта Каприви, която е мечтан рай за много ловци. Робин ни откара с колата си до Уиндхук и в 10 часа отлетяхме от малкото летище в посока на градчето Катима Молило. След час вече бяхме там. Получихме багажа си и оръжията и ни посрещна нашият професионален ловец Даниел Молсли. Той е син на третата жена на Робин и работи за неговата компания от 10 на години. Първите двама сина на Робин са също професионални ловци и работят основно в Танзания. В Намибия сме ловували с клиенти няколко пъти, но никога не съм имал щастието да посетя и скитаме из красивата Каприви. Ивицата Каприви е дълга и тясна ивица от територията на Намибия, която се вклинява между Ангола, Замбия и Ботсвана. Тя започва от североизточният край на основната част на територията на Намибия и достига до река Замбези. Дължината й от 21-ият меридиан на изток до Зимбабве е около 450 км. Широчината й е различна – от 32 до 105 км. Тази територия представлява равна долина, разположена в блатистите северни краища на Калахари. Намира се на морска височина от 950 метра. На изток и северо-изток ивицата е ограничена от река Замбези, която е гранична с Замбия. На юг е разположена Ботсвана, а на север е Ангола. В западната й половина ивицата се пресича от река Окаванго. В средата й преминава и река Куандо. И двете реки завършват с обширни делти в пустинята Калахари на територията на Ботсвана. Тук има няколко големи ловни концесии, които се предоставят в рамките на 2 до 4 години и са с площ над 100 000 хектара. Разбира се, няма никакви огради, както в останалата част на Намибия, в която са пръснати хиляди ферми за домашен добитък и диви животни. Дани ни откара за около час до лагера в Буша, който се намираше недалеч от границата с Ботсвана. Територията, на която щяхме да ловуваме следващите 10 дни, бе с площ от 110 000 хектара и ползваше много земи на различни комуни.
No, I'm not going to take it. I'm first going to kiss you. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for welcoming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
You're most welcome.
If you do want to call the towel also.
Настанихме се в уютни брезентови бунгала с всички необходими удобства. Те бяха вдигнати на около 1 метър от земята, защото дъждовният период през ноември, януари, та чак до юли, целият обширен район тук бе заливан от вода с дълбочина около метър. Сега, през септември, бяха останали с вода само няколко геола, езерца и река Чобе по границата с Ботсвана.
Yes, please. Thank you. But the two areas border, so it's nice. We've actually got 2 game scouts with us. Because elephants sometimes cross to both sides, so you must always have a registered game scout.
Хапнахме набързо и в 15 часа се отправихме да простреляме карабините на Лхас. Този път той бе взел със себе си една прекрасна карабина Уесли Ричард с калибър 416 и една двуцевка 470 калибър.
Little bit high.
Just if we're doing, if we've got an elephant at pretty close distance, you're going to be.
You see, it's dead 12 o'clock, a
Dead
little
12
bit high,
o'clock, yeah.
because it's zeroed for 100 meters. You want a little bit down.
I want it zeroed for this range,
Uh-huh.
just because if we do a headshot on an elephant,
Yeah.
I want it dead on.
Okay, so.
It's a palm nut.
Oh, I pulled. It went up. Next.
Наложи се лека корекция на оптиката и след 5 изстрела се отправихме на оглед на района. Едни селски момчета споделиха с нас, че са видяли неотдавна 3 бивола да влизат в акациева горичка, недалече от колибите им. Ние оставихме колата и, водени от момчетата, бавно се придвижихме към това място. Наблизо до нас пасяха спокойно стадо зебри и любопитно ни гледаха от около 200 метра. Дивича явно не бе плашен, стрелян и обезпокояван от браконери в областта, който отдавна не бях наблюдавал в други африкански страни. В един момент следотърсачен и Майк се спря и посочи с леко кимвани към едни гъсти храсти.
15 метра. Тази може стоят 15 метра. 3 баба.
Той бе дочул счупване на леки клонки и движението на животни. Показаха се тези 3 бивола, за които бяхме информирани. Около 30 минути се ослушвахме и леко предвижахме надясно, докато успеем да приближим биволите. Аз застанах за тал и успях да снимам в продължение на минути един много стар бивол, който с любопитство направи няколко крачки към камерата ми. Разстоянието до него бе не повече от 15 метра, но ние не трепвахме. Вятърът духаше срещу нас и животните не ни усетиха. След време Даниел даде знак на Ал, че може да стреля по този стар мъжкар и проехтя изстрел.
Reload. Safe.
Бивола побягна надясно и групата се скрива в хръсталаците.
You know, they weren't very spooked.
Because I don't know if you realize that the bull that you shot, he's in the middle. He's already down. Yes. But just to the left of him, there's a female. Yes. She looks pretty badly wounded on the rear. There's a wound.
Oh, yeah.
I think
What is that?
It's probably lion that attacked her. Oh. And we do have an own use permit. That is a perfect one to take out as no right. She's wounded.
Ние имахме лиценз за един трофеен бивол и една женска, чието месо щяхме да предоставим на комуната.
Good.
This is guys buffalo hunting in Namibia. Everything can go anyway, but we have our buffalo, so that's the most important thing. And once again, double rifle, close distance. That's what you need to do one after one. And iron sight, no scope. Good work. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Pretty sure. It looks like your first shot with that. It was the other side. Didn't get up.
Направихме набързо снимки за спомен в настъпилия вече мрак и натоварихме биволицата на джипа. Качихме трофея на стария бивол в багажника, а тялото му влачихме около километър из буша. Оставихме трупа по средата на едно селце, чието жители се зарадваха изключително много на този месец подарък от наша страна.
So we got a very, very nice buffalo. Really old, sort of classic look where the horns are really drooping down and then coming out. Nice big boss. It was an interesting hunt. The first shot we got him must have been about 14 yards. The shot looked perfect in the reaction, but he took off. We gave him about 15-20 minutes to bleed out a little bit, and then we started following slowly around in the more open area. But then we had to come in a bit thicker with as time was going on. We had the dog who originally pointed him out, and I could see him just quickly put a second shot in him, and then we came around, and unfortunately we bumped into another. It happens, the light is going down, it's a dangerous situation. So we ended up taking a second one, but it was a close call, and then this one was finished off by Alcus perfectly. He was actually lying down not far, the other one's probably 15 yards behind me.
I'm very happy. That's the bull you want to take out. He's big, old, mature. He is basically cast off of the herd, so he pushed out by the young bulls. He had another old bull with him, which take off, and that's why we had to be very careful because we're moving in the very thick bush. We know that there is a one wounded and two other buffaloes around him, and we got him 150, 180 yards from original place where we shot him. So it was a very close chase. I'm very happy. First of all, because I used both my bolt action and the double rifle, and it's against proofs that you have to have all right tools when you hunt buffalo, and on the close quarters you need a double rifle, and it proved to be the best tool of the job. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Here we are at the Conservancy office. We're dropping meat. I think Dean, my PH, will tell you a story why we took the buffalo cow, because they had the license for the own use, and as a result we have a cow which is donating to the community, and tomorrow morning it's going to be a very happy morning in this village.
What you get in Namibia is both what's called own use and also tribal authority meat, which is granted to the tribes and the people of the area. So because they're protecting the species, they get to utilize a certain amount which goes towards food and rations, which is generally equally divided between different areas of any one area. So what we've got here today, which we were asked to take for the community, is an own use animal. That is purely a meat animal. So you try to avoid taking the good genetics out. You find an old cow, for example, or an old shorthorn bull, and it's just purely a meat animal to help provide meat for the community. So what's going to happen now, we're just dropping this off at a post where we were asked to drop it off by the community leaders, is they're going to start cutting up the meat, and then they'll divide it by weight amongst all the registered. Anyone over 18 basically gets a vote or a position in these communities.
Yeah.
So once you reach 18 years old, you then have the right to an allocation of meat. So later on, once they start cutting this up, it'll all be dispersed equally amongst.
Skull.
That will also, the trophy bull will also get dispersed amongst the communities. So this forms most of their protein intake throughout the year. Helps to stop things like poaching, gives them a bit more meat in their diet, and so they really, it's a bit late now, but that's the way the hunt went. But otherwise you'd have a lot more people here. They really appreciate this. So I've actually got 2 permits here which we were given. One was for a trophy animal, one was for an own use animal, and they said, listen, if you can get some extra meat for the community, please do so.
We right now at Salambala Conservation Office, together with Danny, and this is a place where community leaders asked us today to drop their own use cow, which we did, and I believe that tomorrow morning it's going to be a very busy place here. As you see, a lot of meat gets utilized here. Every elephant even shot at this area meat will be utilized here, and as Danny said, that it's a great contribution to the community ration, and it's the biggest input of the protein intake into the community, and it's a great job. So it's just once again it proves that trophy hunting in Africa contributes into the communities, and as you see, we hunters doing not just hunting, we also distribute the meat. We participate in the life of communities.
These communal areas are the forefront in the battle to keep habitat for wildlife, which is the biggest threat against wildlife in this day and age is habitat loss. So by means of keeping these areas for wildlife, they're conserving the areas, and it's really vital, these community conservation system that we have here in Namibia. If you speak to a lot of the local guys, they grew up actually not seeing game in these areas, and literally in the last 5 or 10 years that these areas have been operating, you've generally seen a very large increase in numbers of game, and that's just showing you that the system works. Large areas of land get allocated and sectioned off for game. They call them the core areas, where they do their best to keep people and cattle out. They allow a limited amount of hunting in those areas, which helps pay for the communities, pay for the running, pay for all the anti-poaching teams and the ranger teams that go around and do inspections of these areas and such. So it's got employment, you've got the income that comes from the hunting that pays for projects such as building schools.
Хората започват да свикват с мисълта, че не трябва сами да убиват дивите животни, а могат да имат финансова полза от лова, а и да получават безплатно месо. По този начин, като се раздава безплатно месото, а парите от трофейните такси се предоставят почти изцяло на местните комуни, се води ефективна борба с браконьерството. Ние се прибрахме в 22 часа в лагера и отбелязахме подобаващо първият ни ловен след обяд, след дългото ни пътуване от Европа до тук.
Here we are again by campfire in Africa, in Namibia this time. And as I told you during my last film from Tanzania, campfire moment is a very special moment for me, because I know that every day I'll go after this hunting trip, I'll remember these moments of joy. But every time I sit beside campfire in Africa, I miss my friends. So, dear friends, I miss you all. But here we are again in Africa, and we have exciting times. And we did have a cracking day today. We had 22 hours travel from London and Sofia, together with my friend Stilan. We landed in Windhoek. Then we had 1 hour flight. Then we have hour drive with our dear host, Daniel. And Daniel gave us a very hard time at shooting range, zeroing our rifles. He wants everything to be precise. He will not forgive even the rifle if rifle shoots at 50 meters inch above, which is poor rifle didn't know why he shouldn't do that. Anyway, but then we went and we tried to observe area to see the things, and you guys will see what happened in result of it. But I want to go a bit beyond and ask our generous host, Daniel, to tell a few words where we are today and what is the special about this area, and how this hunting camp started, when it started, and how many years you've been hunting here.
My name is Daniel Mousley. I was born and raised in Kenya, where I first came to love the bush, spending a lot of time up country near Mount Kenya and areas there. So that's where I first came to love the bush and the wildlife and this sort of life that we have here now in Namibia. Started working for Robin Hood Safaris about 9-10 years ago now, which was when I first moved to Namibia, and I haven't looked back since. We got a fantastic place in the south, and then over the last 3 years is more also when I've been getting into this big game hunting up here in the north of Caprivi, or currently known as the Zambezi region. So right now we're in the pretty much close to the furthermost eastern tip of the Caprivi or Zambezi region. The camp we're in right now is called Lusese Camp, which borders the neighboring area Salambala, which is quite a big conservancy, which is actually where we hunted the buffalo today. It's not too far from here, but this is quite a nice camp to be based from, to give you access to quite a few different areas. We've typically been hunting 5 different areas in the eastern Caprivi. 4 of those are in Masuvia-owned areas, and one of them's a more Mafwe-owned area. This is the 2 main tribes in this corner eastern area, although they're quite closely related.
Така завърши щастливо и удачно първото ни ловно посещение в Каприви. Алхас и водачът му можеха вече да се концентрират само върху лова на слон през оставащите ни 11 ловни дни.